Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. It is great to see you and be with you here this morning. So those of you who join us regularly are already aware, but for those of you who may be with us today for the first time, we begin our service always with the toning bowl as a way to bring us into the vibration of oneness and being with one another. So just take a nice deep breath and let us begin. Some words from Psalm 29. Give praise to the beloved, O heavenly hosts. Sing of love's glory and strength. Exalt the glory of love's name. Adore the beloved in holy splendor. The beloved lives in our hearts. Love dwells with us forever. You who awaken to the light of universal oneness will know the blessed joy of serving the great work of love. And let us take these words within as we gather virtually today for this Easter service. That no matter where we are, we know that we are one in the beloved, one in love, and that the resurrection that we are here to celebrate today is a truth of our lives. That as we know love in our lives, we know love in our hearts, we know the presence of God. And in that presence, all things are established in goodness and all things are made right. We give thanks for everyone who is participating in our service today, for we are here because we love God and we love joining together to be able to celebrate this reality in our lives. And so it is. Amen. I'll share our statement of faith. Normally when we gather in person, we do this together. Those of you who might already commit it to memory, you're certainly welcome to join with me as we say it. But otherwise, again, you can just breathe into the words. And this is our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good omnipotence. And I am one with that presence and power. And as I mentioned, thank you for joining us this morning. And it's great to be able to be together in this way, and of course, I miss all of you. I miss you so much. I'm looking forward to when the time comes that we actually do get to be together in person. But in the meantime, as we know that we are one in God, we also know that unity honors the many paths that lead to the one God, and that we celebrate the activity of God in our lives, and that activity is celebrated equally. Just as we are celebrating Easter today with people literally all around the world. And so we welcome you. In our music ministry, because we're still incorporating music, that's as much a part of what we do as is the message and the meditation. We'll have selections from Michael Gott, Karen Drucker, Donna Michael, and Claudia Carawan. So these are selections that Levi picked out to support us in our service today. And as you know, what I say each time when we do gather is that each and every one of us are part of the music ministry, and that hasn't changed. So today we do have a congregation song. It is God in Me by Michael Gott. Levi's going to paste the lyric into our Facebook page comments. This way you'll have the lyric there if you would like to sing along at home. So God in Me by Michael Gott. And it's a beautiful song with words of truth. So that's what we know we are here to affirm, is the truth of our being.
God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God God of wisdom, God of love, God of life, transcending time and space. God in me, God in me, God of glory,
God of glory,
God of power,
God of power,
God of goodness,
God of goodness, God of grace,
God of wisdom, God of love, God of life, transcending time and space. God in me, God in me, God of wisdom, God of
And
love.
normally we'd be turning to one another and saying hello. Take this opportunity to say hello to each other in the chat in Facebook. And if you're watching us on YouTube, because we're streaming on YouTube live as well today, and if you know people who don't have us on Facebook, please send them over to YouTube, to our Unity of Pasadena channel. You'll be able to find us there this morning. So take a moment to say hello to each other and greet the God in you, as I am doing with you as well this moment, greeting the God in each and every one of you. Yeah, even though we're not together in person, we can feel each other's presence and we can acknowledge each other in this way. We celebrate our community. And again, even though we're not able to meet in person, we have ways of being able to connect during the week. Today, we'll have hospitality again via Zoom. That'll be at 11:45. You can either find that information on Facebook. We've got a Facebook event already listed there for virtual hospitality. You also can go to our website and you'll find an event on our website listed there with the information on how to connect on Zoom. So we'll have our virtual hospitality and a chance to be able to connect more closely with one another because we'll be more in person and, with our video. Hopefully everybody has video to be able to do that. So join us for hospitality today at 11:45. Also on Wednesdays at noon, we have our Unity Connections group. And this group originally came together through some work that was done here on site as part of our Sabbath retreat. But it is a way to be able to connect with people in the community during the week. So feel free to be a part of that. And also you can find information about the Wednesday Connections on our website. It's on our calendar. So both of these, you go to our calendar, and then when you go there for the Wednesday Connections group, you can get the information for Zoom and be a part of that. So these are some ways right now that we have available for us to stay connected with one another because we know that we are not alone. This is the time in our service where we turn within and prepare ourselves for a time of prayer and meditation. We do this with the reading of the daily word, then our meditation song, and then following the meditation song, the meditation. Our meditation today is actually going to be led by Andrea Sheridan. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath as we begin with today's daily word for Easter Sunday. I recognize the risen Christ in family, friends, and my spiritual community. I recognize the risen Christ in family, friends, and my spiritual community. Early in the evening, on the day of resurrection, Jesus, unrecognized, joins two of his followers as they journey from Jerusalem toward the nearby village of Emmaus. Accepting an invitation to stay and share a meal, Jesus breaks bread, blesses, and breaks it, then gives it to his hosts. In that moment, their eyes are opened, They recognize Jesus, and alive in their hearts, he vanishes from their sight. Later, the two explain to others how the risen Christ became a living presence to them in the fellowship of breaking bread. Easter celebrates the risen Christ, an immortal presence freed from all limitation, awaiting discovery in every person and life event. I recognize the risen Christ in shared experiences with family, friends, and my spiritual community. The scripture comes from Luke chapter 24, verse 31. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the
An Easter prayer.
spirit.
This prayer is a collaboration by three of our prayer chaplains, Helen Dersant, Donna Gannon, and Trish Bryant. Nature's celebration of Easter shows up regardless of what is going on in our world. It appears without hesitation and boldly announces, I am here and I am thriving. The crocus, the tulip, the blade of grass, and the baby chick burst forth in glory. They claim their presence, their new beginning, and their good. We cannot begin to comprehend the chaos and the suffering that the COVID-19 virus has created. We can only know this: no matter what the appearance is, the love we are cannot be removed or destroyed. We calmly wait on this very love as we prepare ourselves for meditation. So together, let us take a deep breath in and out. We make the beautiful 18-inch journey from head to heart. Breathing into our heart space now, in and out. As we go into a short 2-minute period of silence, I invite you to close your eyes and open your heart into the God presence within you, the living, loving Christ. Opening our eyes slowly, we step into this beautiful spring Easter day. Allow these words to be yours. I am renewed, I am here, and I am thriving. The love that is God in me cannot be removed or destroyed. God is the exponential healer in all matters. Have a wonderful and meaningful Easter.
I'll come out of the darkness, darkness, out of the darkness, into the I'll come out of the darkness, darkness, out of the darkness, into the light. I'll come darkness, darkness, out of the darkness, into the light, into the darkness, into the light. Step by step, into the light, coming out of darkness. Out of the darkness, step by step, we come into the light. Out of the darkness, into the light. This is the reminder that Easter brings for us, is that we come out of the darkness and into the light. One of my favorite unity ministers, old-time unity ministers, Ernest Wilson, in an excerpt of an article in Unity's newest booklet on 30 Days to Fearless Living, says, we come through the Gethsemane experience of what would be Good Friday and then into the tomb of Holy Saturday. We don't stay there. Okay, we don't stay there. We come through it and then we come into the resurrection. It's one of the reasons why the image that we use for Sunday service, I love that image so much, of the open tomb where the stone has been rolled away, because resurrection takes place in the living. It's not in the tomb. Our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said this: every time we rise to the realization of the eternal indwelling life, making union with Father Mind, the resurrection of Jesus takes place within us. Now I'm going to say that again. Every time. So Easter, although we're celebrating it right now here together today, it is something that happens in consciousness anytime we do this. We rise to the realization of the eternal indwelling life, making union with the Father Mind. The resurrection of Jesus takes place within us. All thoughts of limitation and inevitable obedience to material law are left in the tomb of materiality. They are left in the tomb of materiality because where we live and move and have our being is in the indwelling life, the union with Father, Mother, God, some people would say. I use the term the beloved often to express this. So to be resurrected is to enter into this heavenly state of consciousness.
And part of what we know and that we teach here in Unity is that heaven and hell are not destinations, okay? They are not places that you are going to after you leave this plane of the human realm. They are places that we can be right here and now, depending on what's going on in our consciousness, because they are states of consciousness. Heaven and hell are states of consciousness. And as we resurrect ourselves with this indwelling life, making union with Mother, Father, God, the resurrection of Jesus takes place within us, and we resurrect ourselves from every dead condition into a higher consciousness. Every dead condition into a higher consciousness. Now, please, friends, understand, and it was so beautifully expressed in the prayer and the meditation that was written by our prayer chaplains that Andrea shared with you this morning. We know that COVID-19 is an experience that is happening. It is happening. We are experiencing it in the United States. We're experiencing all around the globe. So I'm not making light of the fact that there is something very serious going on, and that the ripple effects of that are touching all of our lives, and in ways that we still don't even know how that's all going to work itself out. Here is the beauty of what happens as we go through a crucifixion experience, because this is what we are in a way passing through as we're working with all of what's going on in the world right now, as we are going through a crucifixion experience. Charles Fillmore said that the crucifixion is a crossing out in consciousness of errors that have become fixed states of mind. The crossing out in consciousness of errors that have become fixed states of mind. So we get some fixed states of mind in terms of how we think we're supposed to do fill in the blank. Whether it's how we're supposed to go to the gym or how we are supposed to do church, we have a certain idea in mind that these are the way things are done. And we are going through a crucifixion experience when we are crossing out those fixed states of mind and opening up to different possibilities. We have to remember that we are here to pass through a transforming process. So even in the midst of what we are experiencing right now with this whole pandemic, there are bright spots of goodness. And we must always remember this, that there are bright spots of goodness. And this is what the resurrection is inviting us to be a part of, is that we are passing through a transformation process. I often think of it like this. We use the analogy or the metaphor of the caterpillar and the butterfly. The caterpillar goes through a complete dissolve before it becomes the butterfly. And one of my favorite images is this single cell cartoon that we're going to post up into the comments here on Facebook of a caterpillar and butterfly sitting together. I'll share it, especially for those of you on YouTube who might not be able to access the image. The caterpillar says to the butterfly, "You've changed." Butterfly replies, "We're supposed to. We're supposed to change. We are supposed to be in the experiences of our lives so that they can shape us, that they can help shape us in terms of how we want to respond to what's happening in our lives." There is pain in life. Yes, absolutely. There are painful times for everyone, anyone who has lost someone, for example, in this experience of the COVID pandemic, literally lost someone who has died, or those who have lost their jobs and are trying to figure out how they're going to manage financially as they're waiting for the CARES Act to come into manifestation. You know, we are all working through these things. So there are some painful experiences, but suffering is optional. We do not have to suffer. Suffering doesn't come from the experience itself. Suffering comes from trying to keep our old thought habits and patterns alive. That's where the suffering comes in. When we wring our hands and go, "Oh, woe's me," we are suffering. When we stand in it and ask ourselves, okay, what is it that we can do? How can we be in the face of what is we are experiencing right now? This is where we find our strength. Some of you got the opportunity to spend time with my fellow Reverend Bill Engelhardt over the 3 months while I was on sabbatical. I want to share one of his quotes from what he refers to as the Book of Bill. He says, if we do not die to our old ways of error thinking, we cannot be born again in resurrection. If we do not die to our old ways of error thinking, we cannot be born again in the resurrection, right? As long as we're holding on to something that's old, even if old is 2 minutes ago, we can't be available for what is new in the moment that is emerging, which is, again, this resurrection coming out of the darkness and into the light. So the resurrection is, as Charles Fillmore says, it's the raising of our mind and body from sense to spiritual consciousness. From sense to spiritual consciousness, that we can connect with each other in spiritual consciousness so that we are transforming our thoughts and thereby transforming our experience, which opens us up to new ways of being able to do things. Let me tell you, friends, this whole thing here, right, staging the Sunday service in my office, this has been a new way of doing things as we've been exploring how we can incorporate technology in a way that is going to allow us to do what we are doing. And I'm seeing this with colleagues, all over the United States, especially, and new ways of being able. We were watching the news last night, and I forgot the name that they've given to it, but what some of the Los Angeles police officers are doing is they are out shopping for people who are unable to get out and purchase food. And so one of the police officers that they interviewed just briefly said that it inspired him to remember why it was that he went into that line of work to begin with, was to be a public servant. And to go out and to be able to do this is a way of being able to help people. So this is what I mean about we come out of the darkness and into the light. And if we are willing to open up and look at things differently, we can be open to new and different experiences. Scripturally, we see it this way, and I'm working with Luke chapter 24. On the first day of the week at early dawn, they came to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. Well, they were perplexed about this. Yeah, I just want to pause for a moment. I don't know about you, but if I went into a sealed tomb, or I go to a tomb that I think is sealed, the stone is rolled away, and I'm in there expecting to find the body of Jesus, and it's not there. I don't know if perplexed is quite the word I would use to describe it. I think I'd be more like freaked out, but okay, they were perplexed. And suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen." Anytime we are looking to the past, anytime that we are looking behind us, we are looking at what is already dead, what is spent energy. Let us not look for the dead when what we want to be doing is looking at the living, which is standing here and looking forward. Originally, Christians' first thoughts, and oftentimes in the teachings, about the cross and about the pain and the suffering of Jesus. I personally think Jesus would just roll his eyes and be mortified, I think anyway, at the idea that this is what he was reduced to. In a school of teaching that focuses on the cross and the pain and suffering. I'm so grateful that in our experience and our teaching of the Christian tradition and how we look at Jesus is that we are interested in how he lived his life and his teachings that can show us how to live. That can show us how to live, and that's what's more important than how he literally died. We focus on his teachings and how he lived, and then in the story of the resurrection, it invites us into a higher state of consciousness of being in God mind, in this indwelling God. We focus on the teachings of Jesus and not the teachings about Jesus. We say, follow me, worship me. Wouldn't it be possible that instead of the cross, a better symbol for Easter would be the empty tomb? Isn't that more demonstrative of what Jesus was trying to convey in his teachings and in his life? Is that we are not held in. We can never be held down permanently by any circumstance or situation. We cannot be held down. We cannot be held back permanently by any present circumstance or situation, regardless of what it is. Healing is our natural state. And we can hold on to those kinds of circumstances. Certainly we've done it as we've maybe passed through grieving at times. And, I know that we go through grieving. That's a natural part of our human experience. It's to the place where all we do is hold on to it and it becomes suffering, that we deny ourselves the opportunity to be in the resurrection. I'll give you an example of any time you're holding on to something, it's like, yes, but. Okay, yes, but. I know I need to do this, but. And then everything that comes after the but is the excuses that we make up for ourselves about why it is that we're still holding on to the situation, or why we're trying to rationalize in some way, shape, or form that we are still doing the things that we say we need to let go of and be rid of. I believe that the question we get asked here as part of the Easter experience is, are we willing to go to any length to roll away the stone? That's a question for you to ponder. Are you willing to go to any length to roll away the stone? By whatever definition any length is for you. Any length for me means doing something, for me personally, okay? Any length for me often means personally doing something contrary to what my kind of knee-jerk reaction would be, or what my, seemingly innate reaction would be, especially if it's a situation where it's a little tense, okay? So to stop, for example, to pause and to breathe, to go within, right? To ask for the guidance, the inspiration, to have the breath. Sometimes it's something as simple as just keep your mouth shut, and then respond. I know I say this, I share about this because how many times have we gotten ourselves into difficulty in these ways? This is part of what I mean by going to any length, is that we allow something other than what might be our knee-jerk reaction to come forth. And that is often an expression of really our true self, our true spiritual self, which is what we are looking to express, what we are looking to manifest in our lives, is more and more of that part of ourselves, our capital S self. We will stay in the tomb of darkness, friends, as long as we keep old patterns alive within ourselves, whether they are lack, limitations, low self-esteem, fear, anger, unforgiveness. As long as we hold on to those things, we stay in the tomb of darkness. But as we are willing to let go of them, as we are willing to seek if we need outside help to do that, as we are willing to seek conversations with people who can help us work through those kinds of things, if we can, through our prayer and meditation, sometimes receive the exact guidance that we need that tells us what it is that we are ready to release, and we can give it, literally, we give it in God, then we step out of the tomb, out of the darkness, and into the light of the resurrection. We'll be starting a new series next week on prayer, power, prosperity. Prayer, power, prosperity. In that order, I'm going to say that again next week when we get together. In that order, prayer, power, prosperity, in the different ways that we can know, KNOW, spirit in our lives, so that we don't have to fear what shows up as NO in our lives. So I invite you to be with us again next week as we start that new series. And I wish you a happy and a blessed Easter, no matter who you may be spending it with. And that as we gather after service today for hospitality, that we'll get to spend part of this Easter with each other. And so happy Easter and God bless you. Namaste. And we have a beautiful song, I Rise in You by Claudia Carawan. Oh, hang on a second. I got ahead of myself. See, I get so excited. I just sometimes get ahead of myself. This is the time in our service where we share of our gifts and tithes and offerings. I invite you this morning that as you hold your offering in your hand, whether you have written a check that you're planning on mailing to us at church or on our Facebook page, there's a way that you can donate through Facebook, or you can go to our website, unityofpasadena.org, and click on the donate button there. Whatever way it is that you are participating in sharing of your gift and your tithe in this moment, hold it in your heart, in your hand, or in your heart as I speak our offertory blessing. It says, God is the source of my overflowing supply, and I am grateful. God is the source of my overflowing supply, and I am grateful. And now, I Rise in You by Claudia Carawan.
The dead of winter is over and gone, and a brand new day is finally dawned. Oh, anew. The bitter cold and the icy gloom are not tiny buds about to bloom. They will rise in you. You are my light.
You are my light.
You are my joy.
You are my joy.
You are my strength.
You are my strength.
I rise in you.
I rise in you.
You are my hope. My hope. You are my love. You are my love. You are my peace.
You are my peace.
I
rise in you.
Let everything upon this earth,
Everything upon this earth,
was paid in this rebirth.
in this rebirth,
Be born.
we are born anew.
Let every heart be lifted higher. Let every soul now be inspired to rise
in you. You are my light. You are my joy. You are my strength. I rise in you. You are my hope. You are my love. You are my peace. I rise in you. I rise in you. Let us bless our tithes and offerings together, that I rise. We rise in God. We rise in love. And as we rise in love, we rise above situations and circumstances. We rise above all things and know that we are one and that we are blessed. And we say, thank you, Spirit, for these tithes and offerings, for what they represent as our knowing your presence in our lives. And so it is. Amen. I mentioned hospitality. Please join us at 11:45 on Zoom. You can find it either on Facebook or on our webpage, on our calendar, and click in. It would be wonderful to be able to be with you and celebrate this Easter together in that way. And also remember that we have our Unity Connections on Wednesday at noon, also by Zoom. You are always welcome at Unity of Pasadena, no matter where you are on your spiritual journey. Feel free to connect with us. You can email us through our website. You can email me, minister@unityofpasadena.org. And I'm here to support you, as are our prayer chaplains are here to support you in prayer still. They're in prayer remote. You can also send a prayer request through our website. If you just go to unityofpasadena.org and click on prayer request, it will be received and we will respond to your prayer request. So know that we love you and appreciate you just the way you are. We close our service with the prayer for protection. And so many of you know this already by heart. If you do, you can join with me in saying it. Otherwise, just hold it in your heart as we say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever I am, God is. And all is well. Blessings to you on this Easter day.